gotta come see some of your coconut shows, man.
Okay, Hotel family, my name is Barry. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Brooklyn William Mackey Jr.'s History Club, also known as African Helping Africans. I want to thank you all for coming. We meet here twice a month in honor of Dr. William Mackey, Brother Amos Wilson, Louis Ray Rivera, Gil Noble, Minister Khalid Abdul Muhammad, Ivan Van Sertima, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, and all the historians that gave up fame and fortune. Good jobs, big houses, jobs in prestigious colleges. They could have kept them jobs and kept quiet and ate good and didn't have to struggle. Didn't have to burn the midnight oil to get historical facts because they cared enough about their people. And in this day and time, a lot of them are forgotten people. They don't talk about them no more. So we bring this group twice a month in honor of these individuals. So I want to thank you. Give yourself a big hand for coming out. Because the people that come out is in search of information to the global black community.
Amen.
So give yourself a big hand. On Saturdays at 8 o'clock, at 10:30, Sister Empress Chi, Blog Talk Radio. You log on to Blog Talk, type in Empress Tree, and the program comes up out of Philadelphia, New Day Resurrection, and from 10:30, sometime 2 o'clock in the morning, there's information coming down. It's a good program. Also, on Tuesdays, on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, we have Brother Mike Graves, Noel Leader, Julian Harper, and 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement. The program is called Community Cop. That is also very information program. That's at 5:30, right, Mike?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. Also,
Or you can just go to YouTube.
And type in Community Cop. All lectures from the Brooklyn William Mackey History Group are on YouTube and my Facebook page. But if you type in Brooklyn William Mackey's History Club, all the lectures that we've been doing here will come up. Dr. Lewis, Brother Mike, we put them on there. This one will be here on the next day. Also, tomorrow on Facebook, you have Thorough Black Talk, Kiesha, Tad, and Ashe. That's a very informative program. So tonight, that's going to be we have refreshments. The speaker's going to speak. So, the lecture's going to go on to about 9 o'clock. Then we're going to have a slight question and answer and a little break. I have some croissants there. I will be giving them out. They're individually wrapped. We have coffee, tea, and soup in the other room. Please take a napkin. And if you need, the water's right there. You call me, and I'll come help you out. But take a napkin and make your coffee. Take a napkin and make your tea. Men's and the women's bathrooms to the side. So we can have a little break for songs and everything individually wrapped. Keep the chair spaced and everybody be comfortable. Now, tonight's speaker is co-host of Thorough Black Talk. Her topic is going to be what, Kiesha?
White aggression and how they use African culture to their aid.
White aggression and how they use African culture to their benefit. Without further ado, we're going to give you our host for the night, Kiesha Forrester. Give her a big hand. Oh, one more thing, ladies and gentlemen. We have tapes here in honor of Amos Wilson and African World Info Systems. We have Blueprint for Black Power. Revealing the Unspeakable Bible Verses, the Truth About the Judaism, Christianity, and Islam by Earl Ponder. He passed away, and Brother Sababa still sells his books. Awakening and Acting Genius of Black Children. The Developmental Psychology of the Black Child. We also have The Falsification of African Consciousness, Amos Classic. S.K. Damiana Akuhum, Distorted Truth, the Bastardization of African Cosmetology. And this sister right here, Miss Etta Dixon, I'm a Wellness Witness. She was here last week, and she has a book. Very give her a play. She has Louis Ray Rivera, Jazz in Jail, his classic. Also, Issues of Manhood in Black and White, the Amos Collection. Black on Black Violence, the Psychodynamics of Black Self-Annihilation in Service of White Domination, and the Psychology of Self-Hatred and Self-Defeat for the Reformation of the African Mind. Those books can be purchased online or through here through African World Info Systems. So without further ado, give Sister Kiesha a big hand.
Ray mentioned the broadcast that you all can listen to, so I'm just pulling it up so you guys can see if you've never listened to Empress Chi before on Saturday nights at 10:30. 10:30. So this is what it looks like when you go to blogtalkradio.com, put in Empress Chi. You scroll down to, you will have a list of broadcasts, and when she's live, you'll see a red sign that tells you that she's live. And this is Community Cops Facebook page, a YouTube page. And so you can check out all of the shows that they have done already. Okay? In case you guys never saw that. Everybody watch those shows, right? Yeah. We're not in a remedial class today. Okay, so last time I was here, we talked about white aggressionist groups, right? And the things that they were going to do. And I remind you all the last time that we were here that you hadn't seen anything yet and that you should be aware of what was to come. Now, if you want to see what we discussed, you can go to the BK Mackey's YouTube page and see what we discussed. But everything that I said was true. You saw an attack on the Capitol. When was it, January 6th?
Right.
Yes. January 6th. And then you had media who came out and said, well, these are white supremacist groups, white supremacist organizations. Those come from the right. Those who follow Donald Trump. And I reminded you all the last time that I was here that it's left wing, right wing, same bird. You have aggressionist groups on both sides. There was no one particular group that stormed the Capitol and took over. They were in agreement. You had them rushing in, right? That's their image, not mine. So you can't say I doctored nothing. I'm sure you all seen it before, right?
Right.
But this, look at our image. While all this chaos is going on, what is she doing? She on her knees praying.
Wow.
And they storming through the
They
door.
storming through the door. She on her knees praying. Wow.
There's nothing wrong with prayer. Let me get that straight. I'm not trying to come out no Christians, no Muslims, Buddhists, or whoever you are. Whatever you do, whatever floats your boat, fine with me, as long as you keep it black first. Right? Understand that your God should be black and that's who you should be praying to. So this is what this was happening, and you know, you had these groups rush in, and you had now President Joe Biden come out and say, well, this is not America. This is not who we are. This is not our culture. We got to get back to who we are. Well, I know black folks like good white sauces. So tonight I'm going to give y'all some good white sauces. So when you leave here, you don't say, well, Sister Kiesha told me. No, she didn't. I'm rocking with Dr. Lewis on this one. No, I didn't. We're going to see what they say about it, okay?
me be very clear. The scenes of chaos at the Capitol do not reflect a true
You
America.
wearing?
Yes.
Do not represent who we are.
Are you sure about that, Joe?
Yeah.
An armed standoff? White male entitlement? Conspiracy theories?
Let me try to see if I can get that. The sound is coming out of here. There's nothing I can do about that. I'll try. Okay, so anyway, you want to hear white folks remind themselves of who they are. So you can't say, well,
Chaos
these
at the Capitol
black extremists was down at the Mackey Club. No, he wasn't.
do not represent who we are.
Are you sure about that, Joe? An armed standoff? White male entitlement? Conspiracy theories? Sounds pretty American to me. Just look at this guy. Not who we are as a nation.
This is not who we are as a country.
Not who we are, we're better than this.
We may be shocked by pictures of a mob invading the Capitol, but check out the paintings hanging behind them in the rotunda. We shouldn't be surprised, because we've always been like this. America is a nation built on stolen land, by stolen people.
Yep.
And if Wednesday's rampage feels historic, it's because violence is in our national DNA. A mob raised a whole block in Philadelphia because they didn't like, you guessed it, the election result. And after Lincoln was elected, the South launched a civil war rather than accept peaceful transfer of power. Those Americans dreamed this flag would fly in the halls of the Capitol, but it never did, until now.
They don't get to steal it from us. They don't get to tell us we didn't see what we saw.
Taking up arms when you lose an election? That's American tradition.
I look to history, to the precedent of the 1876 election, the Hayes-Tilden election.
Glad you remember that one, Ted. That was when Black Americans were subjected to a century of Jim Crow terror. Trade-offs for electoral peace. An hour after your speech on Wednesday, while you cowered inside, they hung a noose outside the Capitol. And black people cleaning up the mess? That's another all-American tradition. This is where centuries of white entitlement leads.
Oh, there we go.
Storm the Capitol and meet hardly any resistance. A cop is not a threat. He's a photo opportunity. And instead of a jail cell, you toast your criminality in a hotel lobby.
We are watching an attempt at a bloodless coup in the United States.
Closest thing that I can think of that this reminds me of is the time I spent in Iraq in 2007, 2008.
These aren't foreign insurgents, they are us. They shop at Walmart, they watch the Super Bowl, and they're not going anywhere.
We were normal, good, law-abiding citizens, and you guys did this to us. We want our country back.
And for the purest expression of the American way, just look at the man responsible for Wednesday's violence. A man who leads by Twitter, who knows that if you have enough money, they'll let you do anything. He told us who he was, and we picked him, because this is exactly who we are.
And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down.
America, land of the snake oil salesman.
Let me be very clear. The scenes of chaos at the Capitol do not reflect a true America.
No, Joe, this was a perfect distillation of everything America is and has always been. Your platitudes spin a fantasy as absurd as QAnon, that repeating, this is not who we are, will somehow make it true. Of course, this isn't everything we are.
The 82-year-old hands that used to pick somebody else's cotton went to the polls.
I want you to remember him as we go through the election.
To be in the
All
United
time
States.
together.
Just hours before the violence began, Georgia elected its first black senator. But we can only realize our strength if we stop whitewashing our sins. We are a nation forged in racist violence, a society that values wealth over wisdom, a country where personal ambitions mean more than morality, masked with false piety, where citizens wreak havoc on the very institutions that enable them. And get the t-shirt too.
This is the United States of America.
Now, the last time I was here, I said that this was a war between the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists. And that black people need to stand down and stay out of it. And stop allowing people to use our suffering for their benefit. Right? But you didn't hear this rhetoric come from the left when Antifa was running amok in every major city, and they still are.
They didn't say a word.
That's because you have 2 military arms for each wing of these political parties. Antifa representing both left and right. And matter of fact, they not satisfied with the status quo. They not satisfied at all. They don't want Biden. Now, I didn't say that. They said that. So we gonna see them say that. So y'all don't say I said nothing. And I got it from the Sun. Hold on. Here we go. Play this. Okay, something's going on here. Ready? No, we fine. We move right along. In this video, anyway, they were discussing how they are not satisfied with Joe Biden. As a matter of fact, in the state of Washington, the city of Seattle, they busted up Democratic offices, busted the windows out, turned garbage cans upside down, set the city on fire, and still today they have the city under siege.
This was where?
In the state of Washington, the city of Seattle. They have the city under siege. But the left, you don't hear Kamala talking about it. You don't hear Biden talking about it. You don't hear the majority, of the Congress and the Senate now talking. They ain't Democrats, ain't they?
Yeah.
But they not talking about it. Right now, the city is under siege.
Wow.
I thought that was over.
I tried to open the video so y'all can see, but it's
That's
not
not
working. We keep
They're not
moving.
talking about it.
We keep moving.
You definitely don't hear about it. The leader controls
Right?
how they change.
Here they go. They got it under siege. What that say? We don't want Biden. We want what?
Revenge.
Revenge. Huh? This is a war between the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists. Stay out of it, black people. It has nothing to do with you at all. Mind your business. As a matter of fact, didn't they, let me see if I can open this one up for you. Maybe it won't work. They took possession of Pelosi's home.
What is Antifa?
Antifa is an anti-federalist or fascist movement. So they're against fascism, so they say. But they're complicit in it. Okay? This is when they went to Nancy Pelosi's home.
To her house?
This is her house, her garage. And what they put up there? We want everything. So, was it just the right who rushed into the Capitol?
No. It was infiltrated.
Believe what you want. Believe what you want. Here's a clash between them in D.C., the right and the left, your neo-Nazi groups, or your Proud Boys, your Patriots, your 3%ers, your Adam Waffins. Right. There's so many, I'll just run out, there's too many to name. But they had a fight with each other. This just happened. This ain't new.
They're missing with the guns.
I mean, this ain't old. Now, nobody was brought up on criminal charges for murder at the state capitol siege. Nobody is brought up on murder charges. But here's a close-up of this woman who got shot, or at least they say she got shot. You see police all around her, but they can't identify nobody. They can't pick up nobody on murder charges. But if you breathe too hard, you get locked up. Let's look at New York, because it's here too. And I want y'all to be very careful how you move about in this city. You live in a gentrified city now. So everybody has you surrounded. It's freezing. Let me go back. Everybody has you surrounded. just about every neighborhood in the city of New York where black people once were the majority is now gentrified. So, if different aggressionist groups are surrounding you and you not paying attention, going about your business, go to Trader Joe's or Whole Foods, wherever you go at, get your food, they watching you. Watching every move you make. There is the Young Republicans Club right there on Herkimer, right off Nostrand. Been there for a long time. They got black maids with big old mammy dresses and all in there. What's that VIM? Right down by the VIM, past there.
That's Circular Nostrand.
Right, it's right down here. Young Republicans Club. You got various factions around you. And the last time I was here, I told you to pay attention to the attire. The attire tells you who they are. So you go back to the video and you'll be able to see them. So this is News 12 talking about these racists here in the city. Let me see if I can get this. Trying to get a value. You see all these white people supposedly protesting against white supremacist group in the city. You see one of us over there. Why is she over there? Why is she over there? If they want to kill each other, let them go ahead. They ain't got nothing to do with you. I love this white on white crime. This is great. This is fantastic. They like to talk about black on black crime all the time. All this white on white crime, I didn't hear Eric Dyson or nobody else mention that. But as soon as something happened with us, and yes, it is a tragedy when we're going against each other and murdering each other. They are quick to say black on black crime. I didn't hear Sharpton and nobody else talk about white on white crime yet. Not a Democrat, not a congressional person, not a Senate, nobody is talking about white on white crime. Okay? They try to isolate these things. These incidents are not isolated. They're well planned. Before they shut down Parler, I was an avid user of Parler. The videos I tried to show earlier didn't come from CNN, Fox News, NBC, MSNBC. It came from them who were inside. And they shut it down. I've been following them for years on Gab. Okay. Now, you had a European woman who was accused of running into Nancy Pelosi's office and taking her laptop, computer, or whatever. They identified her, know who she is, but she's gone. That's the double standard. But our brother,
They gave her time to get away.
Khalid Browder, arrested for supposedly taking a backpack, spent 3 years on Rikers Island. But they let her go. And the person who put this up had the nerve to put Black Lives Matter. Because they know black people going to go for it. Put some little fists up here. These are little black fists. You know, I try to expand it so you guys can see, but that's what it is. Using black suffering for their own benefit. Now, who's challenging them? Who's challenged these people? They just let them do whatever they want to do. We have no organizations to go against or to challenge these type of assaults. You don't hear a Michael Eric Dyson talking about none of this. You don't hear so many black women is championing for Kamala Harris. Simone Sanders, Angela Rye, all of them quiet. The U.S. military, law enforcement, and both political parties and federal courts are complicit in keeping white supremacy as the status quo. If you guys can see the link here, you can copy it down so you guys can read it for yourselves. We're going to try to move through at 8:30. Because I want to get to how they use our suffering and our culture against us. Now, so many people ran out to vote for Kamala Harris. Okay, People said she was black, she's Asian, biracial, whatever the hell it is. Now, I know that me being a mother and a grandmother, you are who your mother is. Period. You ever heard the saying, mommy's baby, daddy's maybe? Huh?
Jews
You
say
are who
that
your
too.
mama is.
Jews say that too.
Well,
Because he don't want to pay no child.
her mother's birth certificate lists her as white. Lists her as white. Who are you to say she black? Who are you to say that? Let me see. I'm trying to get all these in here, y'all. Excuse me. Let's see. How about I hit that? Anyway. Guess they don't want y'all to see these, huh? But what I will do is that when we're done, I'll make sure Ray Ray gets all of the links so that the next time you all here, you can look them up yourselves. Because everything is public record. This ain't no conspiracy, nothing. I ain't doctoring up nothing. I don't want the feds, nobody else come looking for me. I don't need no smoke. Here's a brother who was falsely accused of committing a crime. There was no charges, nothing. He was put in jail and prosecuted by none other than Kamala Harris. And she made it her business to be there, to prosecute him. Wish I could open the video, but I can't. Stop playing. Here's a sister, Cherie Peebles. The human cost of Kamala Harris' war on truancy. The progressive prosecutor wanted to transform how California responded to students missing school. Parents like Cherie Peebles wound up paying the price. And she went after black women who had a legitimate reason why her child should have been out of school. Child suffers with sickle cell anemia. Okay? Spent a lot of days in the hospital. I don't know if you know anyone with sickle cell, but your body could break down at any minute. And there's nothing you could do about it. But Kamala went after her. Now, in her same state, she kept her mouth closed when wealthy white folks use pay to play to get their children put into school. Where's the prosecution at on any of them? And this pay to play system been going on for a long time. Long time. 127,000 blacks, Hispanics incarcerated when Harris was California's AG. Wow. But black people put her in office.
They forgot. They never knew.
We contribute to our own suffering. Because sometimes, as you said, brother, we forget. And that's why you have to always remember. Because they never forget their history. That's why they ran up in the Capitol. Right. They clear. Antifa is clear. We the only confused ones. The Latinos have lined themselves up together. The Asians have lined themselves. And black people don't know which way the wind should blow. Because we forget what our ancestors said. Now, when Kamala was running in the primary for president, she was asked by many platforms how she felt about reparations for black people. And her response was no. She's not going to do nothing specifically for black people. But she got plans for the immigrant. She got plans for Israel, because she is married to one. She got plans for Israel. She got plans for the LGBTQ. She got plans for the Green New Deal. She got plans for everybody. But black people immediately, no. And had the nerve in the same breath to talk about Dr. King. That's Dr. King said. He talked about going to Washington and getting our check. That's what he said. So how could she be following King when King said, come get the check? She don't want to discuss that. That's a problem. He talked about how there were set-asides for other groups. Where's our set-aside? We want ours. Somebody need to check her.
Around integration. We should have asked for justice. Let integration take care of itself.
The value on this.
And we asked for justice. And been selected.
We're going to try to turn this up, y'all.
Ourselves out of existence.
Now, flip it.
So many different places.
Yeah. Keep it volume. Keep it volume. Is that up? Ready?
Gonna open the name of integration, especially the black state schools. The black state schools are being overrun with inner white teachers.
So I don't know what the hell Kamala Harris talking about. I don't know what she's talking about. And we got to know how to confront them where they are. Embarrass them so that they can engage with you. I do it all the time. On Twitter, get myself in trouble and all kind of stuff. Block, ban, and shut down and all kind of stuff. But whenever I have an engagement, I send it out to people. Post it on my page. I think I sent it to Mike, Dr. Filet. Because if something happened to me, that's where y'all look first. Okay?
We should have asked for justice. Let integration take care of itself. And we asked for justice and been selected, we would not have integrated ourselves out of existence in so many different places. Many of the black colleges are being taken over in the name of integration, especially the black state schools. The black state schools are being overrun with inner white teachers who can't teach any other place, and they go into black schools and do no teaching and get paid for it. We misunderstood what it meant to be with them. We quite forget that some of us are far more competent than some of them, especially in some areas where we've been the masters in the field of teaching and in the fields of sciences, in the field of basic mechanics. I think this is a subject that needs to be dealt with because there's a reoccurring crisis. There's a crisis of ideology in our life. We're always choosing other people's ideologies, neglecting our own. This is why Ghana kept telling him, you can have a modern state, but you need a traditional African state. And you need traditional African values. And he kept saying that as for socialism, it's only scientific socialism. Nothing is scientific that fails to work for you. No matter who people call it, what people call it. Now, one thing our intellects have not learned, that nothing the European mind ever devised was meant to do anything but to facilitate European control over the world.
Listen.
The European wastes no time in humanity or sympathy. He wants to control, and he will control by any means necessary, or he will destroy. He shares nothing with nobody. He never enters into partnerships with other people. And if you think that he's going to enter into a partnership with you, no matter what he calls himself, capitalist, Marxist, or socialist, or anything, he came to control. Under any guise, he must control. And once you understand that, you have to understand, no matter what religion I belong to, no matter what denomination I belong to, no matter what political ideology I follow, my people must always be in charge of themselves. They must be the masters of themselves. And any ideology, any religion, anything that fails to serve that purpose is a waste of our time. All our energy needs to be converted into that. And this is the confusion of what we call our intellects. The role of the teacher, the intellect, the preacher, the role of any kind of leader is to make sure his people know the time of day, the political time of day, the emotional time of day, and the historical and cultural time of day. Make sure his people are trained in how to face reality. And if you face reality right now, you will realize that you're living in a society that is dying. The society is not only dying, the society intends for you to die with it.
So you worried about including homosexuals, Latinos, immigrants, white women, everything else. That's why we losing. So when people come to you and they say, well, you know, our ancestors fought for the white vote. What ancestors? What you talking about? Which ones you talking about? Make sure you bring them real information. And slide it home with your families. Follow your ancestors down. Both President Biden and Kamala Harris talked about bettering the educational system. And I saw Angela Rye and some others champion that. We never got an education in this country. White folks don't get an education in this country. We are one of the dumbest nations on the planet. You don't gotta believe me, go to Google and find out. You'll see we got about maybe 11 countries worse than us. Worse than us. So, remember your ancestors. Don't let nobody tell you who you should follow. Dr. Barbara Sosman.
We're 50 years in the Bronx, and we've resegregated. Why? Because white people don't like black people, don't want to live with them, and sure don't want to go to school with them. And that's not good. I mean, please, just deal with it. Deal with it. Decentralization didn't work. Why didn't decentralization work? It didn't work because there was not enough money to implement it, and taxpayers don't want to pay more money to educate them. At least not black people in the city. Fraser and Emily Walsh did. I mean, now how much clearer can you be that whiteness is important? But then what do you say to a young black person in terms of, yeah, education is worth it, you gotta get out there and the kinds of things that your mother used to say to you about get as educated as you can and you can beat the system. It's not gonna work. That's why these kids aren't doing anything in school. Don't you understand me? I understand you a big liar. And the other thing is, we're not doing anything about it. The preachers aren't doing anything about it. The teachers aren't doing anything about it. NAPSI's not doing anything about it. NAACP's not doing anything about it. The Urban League's not doing anything about it. Why? Because the topic is politically incorrect and must be sanitized.
Even at the expense of their own children's education.
Yes, done so. That's what's happening. Right now, right here, this minute. They don't have the courage that our people had during Jim Crow.
Facts.
Where is the Ida B. Wells?
Facts.
Where is the Mary McLeod Bethune? Where are they? We don't have the courage that our ancestors had.
Why not? It would seem that it doesn't take as much courage to step out there and fight the battles.
But it does.
It does?
Oh yeah.
Even though on the surface, at least a lot of young people seem to feel, things are, even young black people seem to feel, things are really so much better and there's really not that much of a difference in terms of races treated and
can't get a job at any university because they choose China. Now what?
He's talking about her son who has a PhD in genetics and can't get a job because they prefer to give it to the Chinese. Right? But we keep voting. We keep voting. We voting ourselves into this condition because we are afraid to do what must be done. Use your imagination. I ain't going to jail. We are afraid to do what must be done. They are not. They are clear in who they are. And you think you can vote your way out of this condition, you're sadly mistaken. It's not going to happen. We've had the vote since the late 1860s.
Double-crossed Adam Clayton Pye. Ended up in the Charlie Rager, double-crossed Adam Clayton Pye. Ended up in the seat that he's in today because he double-crossed Adam Clayton Pye. Dr. John Henry Clark said was the best politician that we ever seen. That's right. And Honorable Elijah Muhammad said was the best politician that we've ever sent to Washington, D.C. He wrote in his own words, Adam Clayton Powell, he called himself the baddest nigga in Congress. Yes, he did. But you follow these Negroes. Some of y'all joined in with Giuliani. All of them. Joined in. The Negro politicians flipped over. We won't have the million youth march in Harlem this year. They have now desecrated that sacred ground on Malcolm X Boulevard. The barricades and all. Many of you will never stand in that spot for a major rally where it's barricaded and the police come out like that again. You're just not going to ever get back out in the streets like that. And the devil this year, last year, used a different strategy. He said, give him the permit quickly. Don't contest it. Don't fight it.
now. Why are we forgetting what our ancestors said? Why? Because we like melodic language. And we get fooled and tricked by that all the time. You have to check the psyche of why you want to be included. I don't want to be included. I want to be excluded from it all. I don't want no part of it. None. I don't care if the whole system falls. Let it fall. Now, I had sent this to Kamala Harris, this same image, same print of the book, because she wrote after she won being the first black person to run for the vice presidency. And I said, well, that's not true. Because Fred Douglass was on the vice president ticket before you. Every time she lied, I come up on her Twitter feed and catch her. And she's a huge liar. And I brought this book to you before the last time. I hope you all purchase it. 117 facts everyone should know about the African Americans in the Civil War. Nobody gave us freedom. We fought for it. Yeah. And you ain't going to get freedom now until you fight for it. This time, we do it for ourselves. Follow your ancestors. This is my ancestor who fought in the Civil War. 128. So I'm following my legacy. Are you following your legacy? Don't tell me about Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben. Nobody. Until you know your own family history. Because some of us are suffering. We broke. We don't know where we're going to live. Our children are unruly. We don't know what to do. Maybe that's your ancestors from the grave giving you what you rightfully deserve. Because you ain't following in your people's footsteps. And we get these people who they put out before us to talk our plight. Now, I remember Sharpton talking about Trump like a dog on his show. But they buddies. Right. This ain't my pictures. This came from their feeds.
That's right.
They're buddies.
Are you still buddies?
Buddies. You got Don King over there, Michael Jackson, Serena Williams, Russell Simmons, Oprah Winfrey. Now you got Eric Adams running for mayor. What agenda are you putting before him to make sure he do what you want him to do? Because the Hasidic community, that's their boy. Dove Hiken, whatever his name is, Hifton. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm gonna roll with that. Had a conversation on his Twitter feed. This is in 2018. Now I'm trying to expand it so you guys can see this is Mr. Hiken's Twitter. It ain't mine. I applaud and agree with Eric Adams. I am registering immediately for a gun license, and I encourage other Jews to do so to protect their institutions and their synagogues. If we are targets, we need to be prepared. Here's a picture with Mr. Adams and the Hasidic crew. But for us, he got gun buyback programs. We surrounded by every damn body, but he got a gun buyback program for us. Why aren't there any training programs? How to teach young people about firearms? Because if you learn about firearms, you know how firearms work, you won't touch it. My family always had a firearm in the house. We never touched it, but we knew how to use it. I always had a firearm in the house. I ain't have to worry about my children taking it out and trying to kill nobody. But they know if somebody came across that threshold, shoot first and ask questions later. And so, Kamala Harris, being the magic mulatto, we forget our history there. The Haitian Revolution. You forget that mulatto. You forget the dangers of that. And all these black women talk about Kamala this and Kamala that. No wonder you ain't got no damn husband, because you stupid. We forget our ancestors. Dr. Chancellor Williams, he said the mulatto has been the white man's most effective agent in helping destroy black civilization.
That's right.
I didn't say it.
She did say that.
Our scholars said it.
The destruction of black civilization?
Our ancestors said it. Who we following?
Yeah, he said.
I'm going to run through this in 3 minutes, so the next time I come, we're going to delve right into how they use black culture against you. Let's take a tip for it. You see a model of interracial commercials all over the place. Reality shows, all kind of stuff. Everybody interracial.
See a lot on TV now too.
On television. As a matter of fact, this young lady, she's on Chris Lee's Know Best. Some evangelistic, whatever you call, lives in Georgia. Look funny to me, but okay. She is his granddaughter. His son is a dope fiend. So he took custody of the granddaughter. And I wish I could play the video next time I'm here. I'm definitely going to do that for you. Got another mechanism to make it happen. But he talks about the love he has for this young girl. How much he gives to the family. This commercial was a Cheerios commercial. Father was black, mother was white. And the young girl was talking about Cheerios and how it helps the heart and whatever, whatever. She got reamed on Twitter. Okay? This was an Old Navy commercial. Same thing. Here is a video of Joe Biden talking about how great it is to see so many interracial commercials. That's what we need. Nobody's challenging. What is our cultural standard? We should have a cultural standard.
Right.
Everybody do.
Right.
When you go into other people's home, other ethnic groups, say for example, the Chinese, you're required to take your shoes off and to greet the father, kiss the hand of the mother. Where are our cultural norms? We so convoluted, we don't even know what it is. We should be on one accord. On one accord.
That's right.
An interracial person, you ain't black. You ain't. You biracial. You over there. A black man, a black woman making black children. That is your legacy. Because, and I'll have it for you next time, you guys will see that if we don't do it, they're going to use it against us. Here you have Sean King, writes for the New York Daily News and some other publications. He talk about Black Lives Matter all the time.
Which one is Sean King?
Right there.
Can't tell.
The pale one. He's not black.
That's Malcolm X, right?
Yeah. He's not black. He got a white mother and a white father. But he says he's transracial. See, you accepted transgenderism. You accepted that. We were the gatekeepers. If we had stood our ground, you wouldn't be hearing about this in Washington. But we folded like a cheap suit. And we accepted that nonsense. Rachel Dolezal, former head of the NAACP out in Washington, state of Washington, pretended to be black for years. When she got exposed that she's a white woman, she came out and said, well, I'm transracial. And if transgender can choose who they are, I can choose who I am. You accept that? You catch that heifer in Brooklyn, you better handle her accordingly. Why is Sean King walking around like it's all right? You're too inclusive. Because they're stealing your identity. Another woman, Berta Bird, who was raised American finds out that she is biologically white. Stealing your birthright. Because remember I said the question that was put to the current president and vice president was reparations. Right. That was a no. But as soon as these folks can take over your identity, they're going to get some reparations, just like the $5 Indians. Okay? Because there ain't no gatekeepers. They got to be pressed on this. Another family. Found out, this is an all white family, found out that they got a black ancestor. And now they claim they blackness. They gonna get them reparations. You ain't gonna get it. Steal your identity. White Australian woman. She was born white but first to be black, taking melanin injections, boob job, butt job, any other job she can find. This is a white woman. And I know some brothers are probably trying to holler. Not my grave, but I'm just saying.
Got that right.
They're trying to holler.
A lot of melanin. A lot of injections.
Melanin.
You can buy it now.
Look at the stock market.
You can buy it.
That's big business.
Yeah.
When I came in here, I told you I made a lot of money on GameStop. GameStop. That's big business. Instagram model. Have over 1 million followers, parading herself as this when she's really that. That came from ABC News, so don't say I did nothing. It's on YouTube, you can check it out for yourselves. Taking your identity, transracial. We let everything fly.
How did she do this now? How did she pull it off?
Melanin injections.
What's her name?
This is the same person, but she has a melanin injection.
This one used melanin injections.
What's her name?
I'll get it for you. It's in my other
He
phone.
wants the address too.
I'm going to give it to you. Not just Caucasians, but the Japanese. Tutorials on how to kink their hair to look like us. But we want to run around with
Straight hair. Bone straight.
horse tail and whatever else they got. So I think we had our time with our break. I don't want to get Ray Ray in trouble, and I don't want to mess with Ray Ray. I'm just telling you all this, how subtly and now openly stealing your birthright. And you voted for it. So many black people in your families, I know, well, we got to get Trump out of office. It don't matter. We got to get him out. We have pledged allegiance to the Democratic Party to our own detriment. To our own detriment. So that's why I showed you the clips of King, Dr. Clark, to remind you of what they said. I'm following the leader. Who am I to question? I'm going with them. Even Malcolm said it. He said the ballot or the bullet.
That's right.
Not to compromise. He said to register, but register as independent. But we feel the need, we have to be wedded to a party. That's insanity. And so now, with unemployment rising for black men and women and young people, Generation Ys and millennials, can't find no jobs. Well, you voted for immigrant inclusion. You voted. You can't get no house, can't get no apartment, decent rent, but the LGBTQ got it. You voted for it, Rajan. You voted for it.
And don't forget the 50
Because
million
you,
immigrants.
say it again?
The 50 million immigrants on their way.
You voted for it. But one bright note is, a lot of us have been intertwining ourselves with various platforms. And now you see more black people becoming more aware. I know for certain Dr. Clark would never imagine that over 300 million people have viewed his work.
Wow.
I know Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad could not have vision over 300 million people view his lectures or his speeches. However, we must guide it so that it is not diluted and it is not compromised, so that we don't continue to lose. So we're going to take a break.
Let me take it.
Oh, he's going to take a break, so good.
No, take it. Finish talking. Let me take the donation.
Got you. Go back and study your own family history. You see, my ancestor, Mr. Lofton that I put up there, after he fought the Civil War, broke into armories to arm black people. They got a file on him this thick at the archives. What's your legacy? I don't know. Some of y'all may have came from some people who were scared. That's all right. Are you scared today? Because we getting swallowed up out here. They're pushing you out of every major city. And I remember when Prince Charles, after his divorce from, what's her name? Diana. And he started to be public, if you will, with Camilla Bowles. And in the late 1980s, they came to, 1990s, they came to Philadelphia. There was a news broadcast, and Philadelphia news, of course. And they asked her what was her reasoning, or their reasoning for visiting the city of Philadelphia. And she said gentrification. Back then they said, if you go in, still in New York, you got sun downtown. In New York. Why we ain't got no black downtown? Y'all let them come on money. You come on my block, I'm going to question you. What you doing over here? Why you here? Ain't nothing over here for you. Get off my block. Get off the block. I don't care if it's the Mormons peddling, Jehovah's Witness peddling, get off my block. And the retarded Scientologists, get off my block. Don't be inclusive. Exclusive is the way to go. Ray, good?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you like the refreshments. Kiesha's going to come back, part 2. We're going to go to what, 10 o'clock, something like that?
Yeah, a little before.
All right, she's going to go to a little bit before 10 o'clock. I don't know if she's going to do question and answer, but she's going to finish. Give her a big hand and give yourself a big hand.
First, let me say thank you to everybody who contributed. The last time you all contributed, when I was here, we took the contributions, we were able to feed a lot of homeless people at the Staten Island Ferry in Lower Manhattan. So we fed a whole lot of people, raw, fresh, organic meals for our people. Nothing but the best. So thank you all. When you contribute here, you help Ray to make sure he can have this, and whoever the speaker is. But I know I donate mine back to the community. So I'm good. So I just donate it back. Now we're working on something for battered women who are on the run. And you guys, your contributions will help with that. So thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Bell.
Yeah.
Who says he is biracial is actually white and has been lying about his ethnicity all along. King claims he was terrorized at school for being mixed race, but a 1995 police report identifies him as white. Police also dispute King's claim that he was brutally beaten by rednecks in a racially motivated attack, which King alleged was Kentucky's first hate crime. Records show the incident involved only one other person and that the injuries were minor. A birth certificate obtained by Breitbart from the Kentucky Office of Vital Statistics also names a white man as King's father. Blogger Vicky Pates uncovered this photo of King as a child which appears to show a Caucasian kid with ginger hair. Even King's Daily Coast colleague Bert Miles wrote a blog in which he said he was very concerned about King and his motives. Key documents appear to show that King has 2 white parents and that he has been lying to the public about his race, reports Breitbart. Whenever King is quizzed about these claims on Twitter, he immediately goes on a blocking spree and refuses to address the issue. King finally responded to the story earlier today on Twitter, asserting that it was a white supremacist conspiracy theory and that it was, quote, bullshit. Although when asked directly, over and over again, whether he was white or biracial, King only said that his family history was a mess and that he will never go public with his racial story. So why does it matter whether Sean King is white or biracial? Because he's become a darling of the Black Lives Matter movement and the leftist media on the basis of a personal story that may have been completely contrived. He's also closely affiliated with DeRay McKeeson, who many see as the de facto leader of Black Lives Matter. This would also cement the existence of black privilege. Just like Dolezal, King has exploited his assumed ethnicity to further himself, possibly at the expense of other African Americans. King cited his ethnicity in order to obtain a black-only Oprah scholarship to Morehouse College. Could King have misled Oprah, an African American icon? We've also had months of browbeating telling us that gender is a choice and not a biological absolute. Gender is far more biologically rooted than race. So now thousands of young Americans could claim they identify as black, assert their black privilege, and start demanding places at prestigious colleges. As Alan Bakari knows, King could be the latest example of individuals who covet the status of victimhood in order to achieve moral infallibility. By pretending to be oppressed, these professional victims can assert superior virtue in the public arena and enjoy the privileges of lavish, unquestioning media coverage and a plentiful supply of educational and job opportunities. Meanwhile, the genuinely oppressed continue to suffer without a voice. So what do you think? Could this scandal lead to the fall of Black Lives Matter if it is indeed revealed and confirmed that Sean King is the next Rachel Dolezal? Let me know what you think in the comments below. This is Paul Joseph Foster.
So, like I said, I didn't make it up.
Nope.
None of that. You saw the reporter or commentator talk about, show you his birth certificate, who his parents. Now, his parents and his image came from his Twitter feed. So when he got exposed, he can say, I can be who I want to be. Who gonna challenge me? Who gonna challenge me? And you heard them say he's taking all the privileges that belong to you.
Wow.
But we okay with that. But we'll get out here and want to G up against each other.
Right. Yeah.
If somebody owe you $20, you ready to cut it. Years ago when we used to do the Freedom Retreat for boys and girls, peace be upon Miss Leola Manners.
Yeah.
But when we used to do the Freedom Retreat for boys and girls, and in my class, I would tell the girls, pair them up by age, and I said, if she steals $100 from you and tell you she not going to give it to you, what you going to do about it? And the girls would say, oh, punch her face, take my money, and all this kind of stuff. So I told them, I said, well, truthfully, you're worth billions. And then I showed them who took it from them. Now I said, what you going to do to take it? What you going to do to take it? We in the same predicament. They take everything from us. I had an adult female tell me, peace to my sister, she's watching. I know she will be watching once this goes on YouTube. But who couldn't come up with what is black culture? They had a multicultural event. You know, the best their food, their style of dress, and you'll have the Norwegians come in with their food. That's what happens. You have the Asians come in with their food, their style of dress, and how they speak, or whatever. And so what I told her is that everything that you saw those other ethnic groups doing belonged to you. You taught them how to eat. You taught them how to cook. You gave them spices. You gave them medicine. You gave them the ability to wear clothing. You gave them the ability to wear shoes. What you see in them belongs to you. Take it back. So the next time you have a cultural event and they come up with all of their stuff, you tell them, my culture is that belongs to me, that belongs to me, that belongs to me, and I want it back. And I gave her some information where she could use the history in her arsenal. So they can't say she a liar. People never said Malcolm was a liar.
No.
They just got pissed off at what he said. Nobody ever said Dr. Collard was a liar. But the same Senate or congressional body that wanted to condemn your former president is the same congressional apparatus that condemned him. And we did nothing about it. So now, if, I'm going to use my brother Bernard, in this, but if Bernard and I got into a fist fight, and let's say we're going to make Bernard Chinese today, and we get into a fight, he can call me all kind of N-words, mammies, and anything else. But if I call him a faggot chick, that's a hate crime. I'm going to jail. Because you voted your way into that. Unfortunately, because we don't understand how it works. When you put someone in office, let's choose, I don't know, Charles Barron. You vote for Charles Barron to go into office, you legally give up your right to speak your own cause. So that's why you can't go to the congressional floor and hold a filibuster. You can't do that because you legally gave them your right to speak for you. You got people from other countries who could just show up on the congressional floor and hold a filibuster all day long, and nobody says anything about it. That's what Netanyahu did. He just showed up in Washington and went on the floor. You try that. If that was a whole bunch of black people at the state capitol, it would be a whole different outcome. Whole different outcome.
Machine gun, bunch of
Funerals, chopped up heads, whatever else they got. I don't know, all the arsenals, but they would use everything in their arsenal. How do I know? Because Miriam Carey made a wrong turn. And she was shot dead with her child in the back seat.
That's right, yeah, a few years ago, you're right.
But you got a swarm of people. Not one shot fired. Not one shot fired against them. And they came with weapons. They came with shields. They came with, what do you call them, flash bomb thingies?
Car sticks with them, ankles.
Huh? Zip ties and everything else. She made a wrong turn. And you got all of these black politicians talking about they need to do something about former President Trump. That's just political theater. They was never going to do anything about him. Never. Never. And if they did, what you care for? When they talk about they have to try these people with, they have to go after former President Trump, I want to go after the Capitol Police who shot and killed Miriam Carey first. Our crime happened first, let's deal with that. But nobody does that. Nobody's challenging these people. And sometimes we get caught in doing things the old way. You cannot do that anymore. We can't fight the way we fought 75 years ago, 40 years ago, 20 years ago. It is a different apparatus today. All of those people that you saw in the U.S. Capitol, well, in front of the Lincoln Monument before they moved to the Capitol, but all those people in D.C., they didn't have no meetings like this. I know because I followed them for many years on GAG, Harlem, and other groups. They talk to each other virtually, out in the open. Out in the open. And we don't even use that because we don't even know about these social platforms. You ain't know about Parler and Gab until white media told you. But I've been saying for a long time, I've been following them on their sites. If you go up there and you put in K-Fodder, you're going to see a picture of a lion. That's me. Now, we have to fight differently. We have to think differently. Our approach has to be different because we have lost 2 generations between King and now. And we didn't give them a blueprint. See, when Gavin McGinnis dies, he's the founder of the Proud Boys. When he dies, somebody's taking his place. When that person dies, somebody's taking his place. 100% black financed and run organizations that were successful are dead. Because you thought that you could be a dictator forever. Unfortunately, we suffer from the disease because we have been silenced for so long, family, that when we get a chance to do what we do best, some of us become dictators. And you don't put no one behind you to take your place. You hear about the Proud Boys, but what about the Proud Girls? How come mainstream media don't talk about the Proud Girls? You know why? Because it's a clandestine operation. They are your children's schools teachers. They're the doctors when you go to the clinic. When you go to the VA and you can't get no services, who do you think they're? Who do you think they're? That woman who they caught, the one that they said took Pelosi's laptop or computer or whatever, she got let go. Not a scratch on her.
Wow.
Sandra Bland is dead.
Yes.
Mike talks about Corinne Gaines all the time. Dead. Show me, and I'll wait for it, where you have a myriad of black police officers killing white women and white men and getting away with it. Getting away with it. You had a black law enforcement officer in Minnesota who was approached and attacked by a meth head. And they destroyed that man. Jumped on his vehicle, tried to kick the window in and everything else. He's suffering today. Now, where the Blue Lives Matter people at for that? Where they at? There is no way in hell we can work within a white supremacist system and think we're going to get change. Never going to happen. Never. And I played the video. What did the white boy say? This is ours. We fighting for us. They fighting each other. They've been fighting each other. If you know anything about European history, any wars, they've always fought each other. And they use us as cattle fodder. Why? Because we allow it. Nobody is stopping it. And anybody who dares try to stop it, they killed them because we allowed them to be isolated. Malcolm was isolated after a while. Some of y'all saw that new movie, what is it? On Netflix or Amazon, one of them. The Meeting, or whatever it's called.
Miami.
Say again?
Miami? One day in Miami?
Yeah, one night in Miami.
One
Right,
night in
thank
Miami.
you, Jonathan. One night in Miami. A conversation between him, what's his name? Jim Brown,
Sam Cooke.
Sam Cooke, and Muhammad Ali.
Oh, that's the new thing directed by Regina King, right?
Right. Isolated. Jim Brown with the white women and the rest of them got isolated. Sam Cooke was murdered.
That's right.
He went out there and told. See, you gotta be clandestine with how you wanna move. You gotta be clandestine. This is war. Don't get out there and tell, we gonna build a whole bunch of black businesses over here. We gonna have everybody shop over here. On the low. On the low. And while you're building up black businesses, make sure you have something to protect it. You buy the politician, and you have an apparatus that will protect you when somebody comes in to destroy you. We should be doing that anyway as a community, as a neighborhood. Because you could be poor as hell and they'll still come and kill you if you're not with the status quo. Ask move. Ask move. I can call Pam Africa right now, she'll tell you.
That's right.
So, keep believing that you can include everybody and that you're going to get yours a little bit, it's going to help you a little bit better. Really? Really? Because they're going to keep pushing that vaccine on you. They done dug up some old people from the Tuskegee experiment talking about, oh, you can trust it. Trust the science. I don't. I don't trust anything these people say. Anything these people do. It's not a feeling. I go off the history. We're dealing with a wicked, wicked system. So I want you all to think differently. If you're going to vote, vote. Be independent. You don't got to tell nobody. We can say, you know what? We all going to get together. We're going to vote for Bernard. Don't tell nobody. Just knock on everybody's door, let your family know. We're going to vote for Bernard. Why is it so hard to get off the Democratic plantation? Because they tell you and they have you believe that it's nothing. It's nothing. If you don't fly with the Democratic Party, then you're giving up a vote. That's that same rhetoric they tell you. You're wasting a vote. You're wasting a vote when you vote with them. How come when you have national debates, they never, ever have independent candidates up there? To keep the status quo. Nobody's questioning. Not even poor white folks. I tell you, this is the most uneducated nation I've ever seen. And I've traveled to other countries. Don't get into a political conversation overseas because you're like a fool. This is a fact. This is a fact. And so understand we have no allies out here. We have none whatsoever. None. None. Here's, like I said, this brother, I wish I could pull it up for you. But this brother, he trusted the system. I didn't commit no crime. Khalif Browder trusted the system. And it drove him insane. But they didn't catch a Proud Boy yet. As a matter of fact, the one they did catch, is a Cuban Latino who going around talking about Yahoo. Yahoo? Nobody stopping nothing. Nobody questioning nothing. Black Lives Matter is not an organization to help black people do a damn thing. They are a global network with funds and apparatuses that come from all over the globe, not just George Soros.
Right. That's right.
Where are their headquarters? Any state, pick one. Where is that? It don't exist. And their mission statement, I challenge you, go to their website and read the mission statement.
That's right.
if you think they for black people. They are to destroy the black family. Let me see if I can pull this up. BlackLivesMatter.com. So you say I ain't say nothing. And if I can't, you can do it in your own time. We're going to try to pull it up. A little challenging with the Wi-Fi out here. We're going to pull up the About section. That's the most damaging organization right now to black folks. They are anti-black family. You don't tell me to move away from my man. Hell no. Hell no. Where he go, I go. Period. Yes, sir. Say again, sir?
I think they removed the statement because they know it's controversial, so they removed it. I think they removed it.
They probably have.
So.
They probably have. Well, we're going to see anyway. They are anti-black family.
That's right.
Okay?
Well, one of the things that the statement said was the fact that you had to be a homosexual in order to have a position of
Is that all?
You had to be a homosexual to have a position of leadership. That was one of the things. Wow.
But aren't those the strong black ones? See, it should be a requirement. And please understand, I mean no disrespect to anyone who has parentage who came from outside of this country. I'm married to a Jamaican, so trust me.
Oh my God.
However, you feel for me, Raja.
Stay strong, sister.
You see what I'm talking about? Pray for me, Raja. He's very conscious, trust me. But anyway, you were able to get it up. Let's go to the About section. Here's the About. But it should be a requirement. If you're coming into this country and you are African descendant, you have to take 2-year course on African American history and culture before you get your citizenship. I told you, I'm married to a Jamaican. I will challenge anybody on Jamaican history and culture. I'm there yearly. Let's see if we can get some abouts. Try it this way. Try another way. You might have taken it off, brother. 3 sodomites who know nothing about our history and culture come out here and say they speaking for you and me. But everything is transgender this and transgender that. And every time they have a rally or whatever the hell they call themselves doing, they always got one of them. Now, I'm sorry. I'm not a legal scholar, but I can read and I can comprehend. Transgenderism is the highest form of identity theft I have ever seen. I have ever seen. Because you could be a boy today, a girl tomorrow, and screw cats on Friday. And we supposed to accept that. You had an incident at a Brooklyn hotel not too long ago where a man was there and he took some little thing home and, thought he was going to get his freak on. Well, it, or whatever it is, robbed him. Took all of his possessions. It was on the nose. And they looking for a black female. Once he saw himself, or it, or whatever the hell it's called, I'm confused, but whatever it's called, saw themselves on the news, or took that wig off, took that makeup off, took that dress off, or whatever he had on, and now he's a man. But they looking at you, black woman, to see which one of you did it. That's identity theft. And nobody's challenging that. But we just don't go with the flow. Now you got not just LGBTQ, now you got gender fluid, gender non-binary. I don't know what the hell this means. And now they want to pass legislation where you can't even say who your child is at birth. There'll be no gender on the birth certificates. That's what they want. That's what they want. No gender. So that your child grows up and chooses themselves. You better not say nothing. You better not say nothing. You better not say nothing. Of course. You voted, like she said, you voted President Obama in twice.
Right.
Twice. The LGBTQ, whatever other letters they got more out of that president than any other president in the history of this country. Not even Caesar had that much power. But you voted for him twice because he looked like you. As my brother over here always said, we want to win so much, so bad, that we'll fall for anything. And that's psychological damage that nobody's talking about. We are psychologically damaged people. So when the feds, if you're listening, you come and get me, I'm crazy. I need help. PTSD, any other SD you got. We don't know who we are. So be careful. Go back to your families. Teach them. And show them. Those who came before you, so that they don't make the same mistakes that you made. Yes, ma'am?
How do you define the transracial? What is that exactly?
So, I'm clearly black. Clearly. But, let's say tomorrow, I'm going to be Chinese. I'm going to be Chinese tomorrow. Who are you to say that? I got cheeky eyes. Who do you say I'm not Chinese? And you better not challenge me on it. See, that's what they're pushing. Because you accepted Sean King, Rachel Dolezal, whoever it is. She should have got her head cracked in. As soon as they was found out that she was an imposter, some sister should have kicked her in the back. Now, I know some black women live in Washington, the state of Washington. We let these people get away scot-free. Dr. Khalid Abdul-Muhammad talked about the betrayal of Charlie Rangel. Why was he allowed to walk around Harlem streets without getting his head kicked in?
Good question.
Five?
No, I want to ask a question.
Yes, sir.
Get Reggie.
What's the kinesiology effect of kicking someone in the back?
Let me show you. I'll use my right leg because actually I fell down a flight of stairs, so my leg is still swollen.
If you don't believe what Kiesha is saying, go into what Obama signed for Epcot Times. They're getting ready to change the bathrooms and everything. Where if you got to change, you can go into the bathroom. Oh, okay.
That's done, baby.
I was on 42nd Street.
Yeah, so all that stuff is crazy.
Gender neutral.
They want.
So I could be a pretender and say I'm transgender, just so I can go in the bathroom and rape your child.
Exactly.
You can't stop me. All these freaks and nonsense going around out here. We just voting ourselves into it. And for all my Christian brothers and sisters out here,
They're going for it.
the good book said what? What did God say? Come out of her.
That's right.
Come out of her. And you still want to hold on to Sodom and Gomorrah. Hold on. And you wonder why we're suffering out here. Anybody else? Not Rajan, because he's a troublemaker. Rajan will have fast coming to everybody.
So this is transgender and transracial is what you identify yourself as being.
Right, and now you have legislation to tell you and me, we can't say nothing about it. Let's say I have a home and I want to rent it to abused black girls. I only want girls ages 18 to 25 who've gone through some sort of physical or emotional abuse, and I will keep the rents low, $500 a month. Now you can come, not you, Bernard can come and say, well, I'm Bernita today.
And I'm abused.
I've been abused. You got to let me in. My partner on Thorough Black Talk, unfortunately, he works with housing for them. You understand? So this stuff that I'm telling you, I don't make it up. I got it right from the city of New York. You got so much housing set aside for the LGBTQ, and you got black men, black women, or black men and children who can't get housing.
Exactly. That's right. That's right. They're still in the show. That's right. Still in
You
the
got
show.
brothers who were forcefully incarcerated, convicted and incarcerated, come out, found innocent, come out and can't get decent housing. But Bernita can. And Bernita could be the biggest criminal there is.
That's right.
And who am I to question her? It or whatever. I'm confused.
It's been like that in San Francisco over 20 years, over 10 years. Like, 15 years. It's been like, they strong in San Francisco. They've been happy. Now everybody's getting it. But in San Fran, right in America, San Fran is still in this country. They can do the bathrooms, that was 10 years ago in San Francisco.
So can we what's your solution for us? What did last year in New York make all this development for us that we saw?
What is the solution? Number one, stop voting. The balance of political power has always been with black people. And if you don't believe me, go back and listen to Malcolm's Ballad of the Bullet. We've always had the balance of power. The last time I was here, I showed you from the beginning, we were the balance of power. When your current president and vice president made their acceptance speeches, go back to YouTube and listen. They both said they got to where they are because of the black vote. Why are we interjecting ourselves in white folks' business? What about ours? We got to get ourselves together. You got so many of us running around here insane. Don't know what it is to have a family unit. You got black women on social media, Instagram and Facebook in particular, TikTok, doing busset challenges. Forgot about Shaw J. Barton. What happened to her? How dare you do a busset challenge? Megan Thee Stallion and anybody else. Nobody come. When they show up at the radio station, we should show up there. What you doing here? Can't play that music here. And if you do, we're going to kick you behind when you come out. Don't play that music here. That's what the Hasidics do.
Yeah. All day.
If you don't believe me, they got a Facebook page. FAA. FAA. That's it. Look at the page. Look at the page. And the next time I'm here, tell me what you find out.
With respect to cultural identity, cultural theft, whether it's Rachel Dolezal or the other white woman who was in Chicago, one of the Black Lives Matter organizations there, whether it's her or potentially whether it's Sean King and others, what should the prescription be with respect to once they are exposed and you know, because all of them had white parents and you know, and that's what Rachel Dolezal did not offer the information. It was her father that exposed it because he was fed up with it and he said, damn it, I'm the father and I'm white and my wife is white. Now what she's saying, I'm letting you know, we are both white.
Right.
So, you know, that's what she had to make those statements. The same thing happened to one of the parents with the white woman in Chicago, one of the Black Lives biggest organizations there. Same thing. So I'm just saying, what type of prescription should we write out for those types?
First of all, how many of you belong to religious institutions? Don't be ashamed. I ain't gonna beat you up about your Jesus and nobody else. Whatever you worship, whatever. It doesn't matter. So, Islam, right? Go to the mosque and demand that the imam put together a consortium of men so that when you have your Sean Kings come out and you've already given him written notice he can't do this no more, Whatever office he work at, show up. Show up. Now keep imposing. Keep being an imposter. I'm gonna bust your head open. Period. Because the legislators ain't gonna do it for us. Police ain't gonna do it for us. We tried that. It don't work. Sometimes you have to be physical. You have to be physical. If somebody came in your house and tried to steal something, you're going to do everything in your power to make sure that burglar, robber, whatever they call, is out. But when these folks come, it's hands off. They stealing your birthright and your identity, is hands off. When there was a young sister who was sexually assaulted by her father, Brooklyn Church, right up there on Howard Avenue.
Sorry.
Brother Ray, Brother Mike was there. I found out about it. I reached out to the family immediately. Our responsibility, my organization SWAP, was to secure the child. So we reached out on our own to the family to help deal with the psychological trauma of this 12-year-old girl. It started when she was 8. Who was being sexually assaulted by her father behind the church. And the boy did nothing about it. And so what I did was I reached out to them. Got the paperwork. Next time I'm here, I'll show you the letter. I reached out to every mosque in this city. Every Christian, Pentecostal, Methodist, AME church in borough of Brooklyn. Some of them came out. The majority did nothing.
They didn't have to.
They did nothing. Nothing. I didn't ask you to come and beat up the pastor because he was already arrested, in jail, he's still in jail. I didn't ask you to come beat up nobody. I just want you to come together as a group and say we will not tolerate the molestation of our children. That's all I want you to do.
Call the cops on us too.
Now let me tell you how wicked this church is. Right on the corner of Howard. Right off Fulton, before you reach Atlanta. Calvary. My brothers, Ashe, Ray, went up in there. You know, because we have been getting threats just by staying out there bringing attention to them. You got a child molester living amongst us. All these ministers, reverends, and imams couldn't come out and support this and say, no, we don't tolerate this. I wonder what you're doing then. But when Ray and Ashe went in there, they wanted to kill him. In the church. 100 blacks was there. We got a lot of churches, many on the same block. I reached out to all of them. 5 came up. But we tied to them. Go into your house of worship. We ain't giving you not another red cent until you allow this space to be used for meetings, for the community, so that we can educate ourselves a little bit better, number 1. Number 2, when we need a place to organize, physical if it will be, we come in here. And if you say anything about it, we're going to whoop you next. How can you not stand up for a sex offender? Yes, Dr. Lewis.
Yeah, I just want to make a point. I think the presentation is excellent because of the fact that you have to bring us to this consciousness. And I believe that what she's saying is very, very important and critical for this reason, just for you to consider this. When Obama was president, the United States was pushing the heads of states to allow homosexuality in each of the countries. They rejected it. in the United States, and we can bring you the study, they say that the white family, of all the families, that the black family, the African family, this is from the government and these private institutions, said the African family here is the most intact of all of the families in the United States. They did a survey, and they, 4 or 5 years ago, when the next time we come, we can, to help support what she's saying, we can give you these studies. And they looked at the death rate of Africans in the United States, Hispanics in the United States, and whites, about 4 or 5 years ago, because they're constantly monitoring what she's talking about. And they found out that the death rate among white families, 18 to up to 50-something, was the highest death rate in the United States. The rate was higher than people of color, Africans, and higher than Hispanics. And they did the studies again and again, and they found, this is the white family, they're talking about us. 5 years ago, up to now. So this is when the studies were done. They do it ongoing. And they couldn't believe, because normally with the situation here, blacks, I'm using the word blacks for people of color, blacks and Hispanics have a higher death rate than whites. But they noticed in the last 5 to 10 years that the death rate among white people, we're talking 18 to 64, is higher than Africans and Hispanics. So they say this can't be. So what they did was, they went into, when I say these people, is whoever among the United States, Europe, or these people who keep track. They looked at the white population death rate in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, England, Israel, and most of Europe to compare the death rate of white people in these countries compared to white people in the United States.
That's right.
And they found out that the death rate among whites were much higher than any of the death rates of whites through the rest of the world. So they're saying something is happening to the population of white people in the United States, with the death rate higher than Hispanics and black, and with the death rates higher than any other whites around the world. And so what they're tying it to, and then they say, the death rate is so high, the drug addiction is so high, and the death rate is from the alcoholism, it's from drugs. And then they say it's got to be something else compared to then when they start looking and saying the number of white people who lost their homes, and this last thing in 2009, the breakup or disintegration of the white families around the United States, with 60,000 factories were shipped over.
Overseas.
60 million jobs were shipped over. So that devastated the white community. They lost their pensions. And so they start tying it to what has happened to the economy of white people in the United States specifically, because they have taken the hardest hit. So they now write that the white population between 18 and 64, they're calling it the lost generation. So we have to try to appreciate what is happening to white America, the people who run in this country. They understand it. So they say that it's the white people are lost generation in the United States. And it's from alcohol, it's from drugs, it's poor diet, the whole bit. So things that you would attribute to us, we're going to bring it to you. See, they're in very bad situation based upon that. So I believe, listening to her, to sharpen my understanding that she's giving me, is they're trying to destroy the black family. Because the white family is going, you still are the tightest, the most loyal. They're trying to break you.
That's right.
And a friend of mine said to me, you can do all of the, change sex. He says that moon here's all the men here, all the men are here, and we all want to be women, right? We dress up and do all this nonsense. He reminded me that the moon does not recognize a man as a woman. Very, very important what you're saying to. The moon does not recognize it. They are trying to break the black family.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, my question is, first of all, I agree with what Dr. Lewis said. I would just add to his point that no tears. No tears for them. Who cares? That's good for them. If they are suffering from alcoholism and drugs and they commit suicide at a higher rate, that's fine. And that's good for them because you should have no tears for people that got all the tools, that they are empowered militarily, intellectually, job-wise, opportunities and all that. And if they still angry enough to jump off a building, damn it, let them jump off the building. So, that's my point to that. So I'm glad to hear that. That's good news. I know not to y'all, but to me, it's good news. I would just ask.
News to me too.
Good. So I would just say to ask Kiesha, last question is, what do you do to civil rights organizations? We talked about individuals who steal the culture in one way. What do you do to civil rights organizations that sell us out every day for corporate dollars?
Don't vote for them no more. That's number one.
Well, they're not elected officials.
Yeah, but they get those grants.
Yeah.
So they're funded, right? So number one, let's say we got the NAACP here in New York, in Brooklyn. Got a chapter here in Brooklyn. Yeah. So when they had a town hall meeting, Kiesha showed up. And whatever they was trying to spew, which was about reparations, I shut down their argument. So forcefully that when I got up to leave, the entire audience left with me. Took me 3 hours to get off of Fulton Street. You have to know how to confront and not be afraid to do so. And guess what? Don't open up the office here no more. When you go out to Staten Island up on the hill, I forget what the neighborhood is called, but it's where the Italians live at. In Russia. It's on the hill. They're on the top of Staten Island. Let's just put, I don't know the neighborhood.
Ain't it called Tar Hill? Tar Hill?
Could be. I don't know.
Park Hill.
Park Hill could be.
Tar Hill or something? Tar Hill.
They live at the top. That's all I know. That's how the bus goes, go up that way. When you see their city council office, it's packed, especially in the summertime, with the men of that community. They sit out there, they play dominoes, they talk junk with each other, they play cards. Go to Inez Barron office. It's empty. Don't nobody show up there. See, they control their politician. The neighborhood does. In Chinatown, the same thing. How is it that the Chinese mafia and the Italian mafia can operate side by side? Go down there and see. They'll tell you. We don't do those things. If I say, where is your district leader's office at? Majority of you in here can't tell me. Now, we're in COVID times. Just about every community board meeting is online. Every city council meeting is online. Now, when you look at the community board meetings, I'll use East New York. Malcolm and I'm talking about programs. When you look at the community board meeting in Bensonhurst, they talk about land development, they talking about liquor licenses, they talking about housing development, and they don't let those council persons off that Zoom until they comply. They show up there. We don't. You go into a poll, you cast a vote, and you go on about your business. They don't do that. Now I'm telling you, go to Facebook, look up your community board, and see if I'm lying. And look at other communities. You can look at Upper West Side, wherever, and see the difference. Stop allowing it to happen. When these civil rights groups pop up, who the hell are you? I don't know you from the block. You ain't never did no community work here. Get your behind up out of here. And if you think you're going to come over here and hold some protests or whatever, I'm going to crack your skull open. We got to have a street element to it. Everybody else do.
Right.
Try that with the Hasidics.
Right.
They got a street element too.
Right.
They no different.
Yes, they talk.
They don't play no games.
Calvin Gato.
If you don't know about the Hasidic Mafia, you are sadly mistaken. But we call the cops on ours. Instead of working with our brothers and sisters in the street. I can walk these streets.
That's right.
I'm good.
All day.
I'm good.
Anywhere.
Because I gotta have that respect. You running and hiding. Can't wait to get inside. Don't rob me and kill me, Roger. He probably would. But I'm just saying. Confront them and let them know it's not acceptable here. I didn't have to get out of my bed and take on this challenge of pedophilia in a church in a neighborhood I don't live in. However, when I saw the story and I saw the hurt in her family, and I reached out to them, and they cried to me on the phone, our job, I called my SWAT sisters. That's sisters with a purpose. That's our organization.
And I
called
called them to come down here for an update, and they don't come.
I said, look here,
The church probably.
let's secure the child. Mentally, what does she love? Brother says she loves basketball. While we deal with this with you, I'm sending her front row seat to the next game. We put the money together. We did that on the spot. We don't get funding from white folks. We don't get funding from white women. They can't join our organization. They better not even place a phone call to us. The majority of our dollars spent are with black-owned businesses.
Good.
We just had our Kwanzaa celebration. Every year we have it at one of the members' houses. You had 20 women shot from 20 different black-owned businesses locally. We didn't put it out and say, we're going to buy this business. Clandestine. Clandestine. And we spread the word, clandestine. You have to know how to move stealth. If we are at war, you have to move and think militarily. When we used to take them trips to DC or whatever, you have Haru and James and all of them going at it. This branch of government, that branch of government. I sat back in the cut. Listen, I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to learn.
That's right.
I never got up and said, nah, that ain't how it go. Ray and Mike was there. They could never tell you I did that. Veronica was there. She could never tell you I did that.
Maybe.
I said right there, listen. Right there. So tomorrow, also, you have to champion black media. Everybody should know about Community Cop. Put it on your social media pages. Fight where you can. Everybody should know about the Matthew Studies Group. When he put out that video at the end of this week or next week, share it and keep sharing it again. They do it. When Dr. Filet come on Saturdays, I don't call name, but I'm sitting in the cut listening and I'm sharing. I'm sharing.
You could call in too.
Do it. Say we don't want this media. Don't pass MSNBC on. Tomorrow, 8 p.m., listen to Thorough Black Talk.
That's right.
That's right.
We play no games.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, give yourself a big hand. We want to thank Kiesha, the co-host of Thorough Black Talk. She will be on tomorrow. She will be on tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Again, give her a big hand. Black History Month. Brother Trust Graham will be here. He's going to be the next. Trust Graham out of African Echoes is going to be here for Black History Month. Don't forget Community Cop, Tuesdays at 5 o'clock. Don't forget Blog Talk Radio and Kiesha. And Brother Darren Muhammad out of Baltimore, State of the City, comes on at 12 o'clock on TuneIn Radio on Saturday. Doesn't make a difference what he speaks to. You listen to him, you take what you can, the rest you leave it where it's at. So give yourself a big hand. Thank you very much.